We're back. So, Crenshaw has made a return, and Dad seems to be hinting around that they're going to be leaving again. When the game was over, we drove to Pet Food Express. All the way there, I thought about Crenshaw. There's a logical explanation, I told myself. Always. Maybe I dozed off for a minute and dreamed him up. Or maybe, just maybe, I was going completely bonkers. My dad was tired from standing so long at Best Buy. So I said I'd go get Aretha's dog food. Smallest, cheapest bag, my dad reminded me. Smallest and cheapest, I nodded. It was cool and quiet inside. I walked past shelf after shelf of dog food. Some contained turkey and cranberries, some had salmon or tuna or buffalo for dogs who are allergic to chicken. They even had dog food made with kangaroo meat. Near the food, I saw a rack of dog sweaters. They said things like, "Hot dog," and "I'm a great catch." Next to them were sparkly pet collars and harnesses. Aretha would never be caught dead in one of those, I thought. Pets don't care about sparkles. What a waste of money. I passed a display of dog cookies shaped like bones and cats and squirrels. They looked better than some human cookies. And then, I don't know why, my hand started moving. I grabbed one of those stupid cookies. The cookie was shaped like a cat. Next thing I knew, the cookie was in my pocket. Down the aisle, a clerk in a red vest was on his hands and knees in front of the dog toys. He was wiping up dog pee while a customer's poodle puppy licked his face. The collars are half off, the clerk called to me. I kind of froze. Then I said I was just looking. I wondered if he'd seen me take the cookie. Didn't sound like it, but I couldn't be sure. You know, scientists found that dogs maybe really do laugh, I said. My words were spilling fast like pennies from a holy pocket. That's a good simile. They like this noise when they're playing. It's not exactly panting. They make this noise when they're playing. They're not exactly panting, more like a puffing sound, sort of. But they think it could be dog laughter. No kidding, the clerk said. Oh, let me try that again. No kidding, the clerk said. He sounded grumpy. Maybe because the puppy had just peed on his shoe. The puppy scrambled over to nose me. He was dragging a boy who looked about 4 years old. The boy was wearing dinosaur slippers. His nose was running big time. He's wagging, the boy said. He likes you. I read somewhere that when a dog's tail wags to his right, it means he's feeling happy about something. The left, not so much. The clerk stood. He was holding the wad of paper towel in his outstretched hand like it was nuclear waste. I made myself meet his eyes. I felt hot and shaky. Where's the dog chow, the stuff in the red bag with green stripes? I asked. Aisle 9. You know a lot about dogs, the boy said to me. I'm going to be an animal scientist, I told him. I have to know lots. I have a sore throat, but it's not strep, the boy said, wiping his nose with the back of his hand. My mom is buying food for King Kong. That's our guinea pig. Good name. And this is Turbo. Also a good name. I reached into my pocket and felt the cookie there. My eyes burned and blurred. I sniffled. You have a cold too? The boy asked. Something like that. I let Turbo lick my hand and headed to the back. He's wagging to the right, I think, the boy called. So, I'd never stolen anything before last spring, except for the unfortunate incident with the yo-yo when I was 5 and used very bad judgment. It was a surprise how good I was at it. It's like when you discover you have an unusual talent, being able to lick your elbow, for instance, or wiggle your ears. I felt like a magician. Now you see it, now you don't. Watch Magic Johnson make this quarter appear from behind your ear. Watch Magic Jackson make this quarter appear from behind your ear. Watch this bubblegum disappear before your eyes. Gum is harder than you think. It's the perfect size for slipping in your pocket, but it's usually right next to the place where you pay, so it's easier for a clerk to see you're up to no good. I'd only shoplifted 4 times. twice to get food for Robin, and once to get gum for me. And now the dog cookie. I got my start with jars of baby food. Even though she was 5, Robin liked eating it sometimes. The stinky meat kind, or even the fruit goo. Don't ask me why. I will never understand that girl. We stopped at a Safeway grocery store because Robin had to go to the bathroom. She wanted to get something to eat, but Mom said wait till later. While they went to find the restroom, I wandered down the aisles to kill time. And then I saw the Gerber baby food. I slipped 2 jars of chicken and rice into my pockets, smooth and easy as could be. Nobody seemed to notice, probably because who would think a kid my age would steal something that looks like brown snot? In the next aisle, I passed a guy from my school with his dad, Paul something. He was pushing their shopping cart. They had a giant snack pack of barbecue potato chips and these lemonade drinks in little boxes and a giant bag of red apples. I waved very casually, and it's not like I'm showing bad judgment or anything kind of wave. Paul waved back. I walked right out the door with Robin and my mom, no sweat. No lightning came down to zap me. No police cars zoomed in with sirens howling like coyotes. Later at home, I pretended to find the jars in the back of the cupboard. My mom was really happy, and so was Robin. I was amazed how easy the lying came. That's lying, not lion, lying. It was like turning on a faucet. The words just rushed right out. I felt guilty for not feeling guilty. I mean, I'd shoplifted. I'd taken something that didn't belong to me. I was a criminal. But I told myself that in nature, it's survival of the fittest. Eat or be eaten. Kill or be killed. They say those things a lot in nature films. Right after the lion eats the zebra. Of course, I wasn't a lion. I was a person who knew right from wrong. And stealing was wrong. But here's the truth. I felt crummy about the stealing. But I felt even worse about the lying. If you like facts the way I do, try lying sometime. It'll surprise you how hard it is to do. Still in all, even though I felt lousy, I had fixed a problem. Robin gobbled down the chicken and rice goo so fast that she threw up most of it on my book about cheetahs. I figured maybe that was my punishment. Okay. When we got back home from the pet store, I went to my room, half expecting to see Crenshaw lounging on my bed. Instead, I found Aretha. Her nose was buried in my keepsakes bag, and she had a guilty expression on her face. She, for sure, had something in her mouth, but I couldn't see what it was. "Show me," I said. I pulled the stolen dog cookie from my pocket. It was a little mushed on one side. I held it out so that Aretha would drop whatever she had in her mouth and snatch the cookie. But she wasn't interested. Probably she didn't want to eat stolen goods. Aretha slunk toward my bedroom door, tail dragging. I saw what she was holding. It was the clay statue I'd made of Crenshaw, clutched between her teeth. "You don't want that old thing," I said, but she seemed to disagree. As soon as she was out of my bedroom, she galloped down the hall and scratched urgently at the front door. "Want me to open it, baby?" Robin asked. She turned the knob, and Aretha rocketed outside. "Aretha, stop!" I yelled. Usually she waited by the door for me, flapping her tail hopefully. Not today. I grabbed her leash. She was heading straight for Marisol's house, which was about half a block down the street. Aretha loved Marisol. She also loved Marisol's 7 cats, who enjoyed sunbathing on the screened-in back porch. I found Aretha in Marisol's old sandbox. Marisol didn't use it anymore, but Aretha loved it. She was already digging a hole. Sand fanned skyward like sprinkler spray. Okay, that was a tough one. Sand fanned skyward like sprinkler spray. Aretha was an expert digger. She buried 2 water bowls, a TV remote control, a pizza box, a Ziploc bag of Legos, 3 Frisbees, and 2 of my homework folders there. Not that my teachers had believed me. Marisol was wearing flip-flops and her pajamas, which had snoring sheep on them. She loved pajamas. In 1st grade, she wore them to school every day until the principal told her she was setting a bad example. In her left hand, Marisol had a large saw. Her hair was covered with sawdust. She almost always smells like fresh-cut wood. Marisol loved to build things, especially things for animals and birds and reptiles. She made bird houses and bat shelters, dog carriers and cat trees, hamster habitats and ferret houses. At the end of her fenced yard were planks, a sawhorse, and a big circular saw. A small house-looking thing was on the ground, half-built. It was for one of her cats. "Hey," I said. "Hey," she said. "You ready for the art sale?" "I guess." "Aretha brought me that," Marisol said. She pointed at my CRENSHAW statue, which was sitting on the picnic table. "Dropped it right at my feet." "I made it when I was little," I said with a shrug. "It's lame." "If you made it, it's not lame," Marisol said. She put down her saw and examined the statue. Aretha stopped digging and looked up at us hopefully. Her face was covered in sand. Her tongue lolled sideways. "It's a cat," Marisol said, brushing off a piece of grass stuck to the bottom. "A cat standing with a baseball cap. I like it. I like it very much." I shrugged, hands in my pockets. "Was this for the art sale?" Marisol asked. "How much is it?" "It's not for sale. Aretha got into my bag of stuff, that's all." "I have $3. "For that?" I laughed. "It's just, a hunk of clay, some school project." "I like it. It's intriguing." Marisol reached into her pajama pocket. She handed me a wad of money that looked like it had been through the laundry. "Keep it," I said. "Think of it as a going-away present." Her eyes went wide. "What are you talking about, Jackson? You're not—" I waved my hand. No. It's probably nothing. My parents are just being their usual weird selves." It wasn't the truth, not completely, but it wasn't not the truth. "You'd better not move. I'd miss you too much." "Who would help me with See-Spot Walk? And anyway, I love your weird parents." I didn't respond. "You've got the dachshunds tomorrow," Marisol said. "Yep." Pointed to the miniature zigzag staircase she was building. "Where's that going?" "Antonio's old room. When he heads off to college this fall, maybe Luis's. His room is just full of boxes." "You're like an only child," I said. "It's kind of boring," Marisol said, pushing a strand of hair behind her ear. "There's no one to fight with. It's too quiet." "Sounds nice. I like your apartment. There's always something going on. Sometimes it's just me and Paula for days on end." She rolled her eyes. Marisol's dad was a salesman and her mom was a pilot. They traveled a lot, so Paula, an older woman, often stayed with Marisol. Marisol refused to call her nanny or babysitter or caregiver. She was just Paula. Marisol grabbed a tape measure to check the height of the staircase she was making. "I'm going to attach the staircase to the wall, see, like so, and then put shelves way up high for the cats to climb to. It'll be cat paradise." Speaking of cats, I bent down to fill in the hole Aretha had made. The sand was soft and dry. "Did I ever tell you—" I hesitated, then pushed on. "Did I ever tell you that I had an imaginary friend when I was little?" "Really?" "Me too. Her name was Whoops. She had red hair and was extremely naughty. I blamed her for everything. Who was yours?" "He was a cat, a big cat. I don't remember much about him." "You should never forget your imaginary friend." "How come?" "What if you need him someday?" Marisol reached for a piece of wood. "I remember everything about Whoops. She liked to eat Brussels sprouts." "Why?" I pretended to gag. "Probably because I liked Brussels sprouts." "You never told me that." "I may have to reconsider our friendship." "Because of Whoops or the Brussels sprouts?" She yanked a nail out of a plank with her hammer. "Hey, new bat fact. In Austin, Texas, they have the world's largest urban bat colony. Like 1.5 million of them. When they fly out at night, you can see them on the airport radar screens." "Very cool," I said. "Ms. Malone would love seeing that." Marisol and I both had Ms. Malone for 4th grade. She taught all subjects, but she loved science best of all, biology especially. We chatted about bats while she watched Aretha dig another hole. Finally, I said, "Well, gotta go." I hooked Aretha to her leash. She licked my cheek with a sand-covered tongue. It felt like a cat's. Did Whoops ever, I made myself ask the question. Did she ever come back after you outgrew her? Marisol didn't answer right away. Sometimes she just lets a question sit for a while, like she needed some time to get acquainted with it. I wish she would come back, Marisol said, gazing at me. I think you'd like her. I nodded. Yeah, I guess I could overlook the Brussels sprouts thing. Jackson? Yeah? You're not really moving, are you? I studied her question the way she studied mine. Probably not, I said, because it was easy, and easy was all I could manage. Aretha and I were almost to the front yard when Marisol called. It needs a name. You mean the statue? Yeah, something unique. Well, what do you want its name to be? I asked. She didn't answer right away. She took her time. Finally, she said, Crenshaw would be a good name for a cat, I think. How did she know that?